good people. Welcome to IQ session number 59. I think 59. That means I've been doing this for almost 60 times. That did not come out as smooth as I wanted it to. Anyway, welcome. Tonight's topic is all about how to build muscle whilst on a fat loss challenge. Now, you'll get a bit more bang for your buck tonight because we're going to teach you about energy systems and...
We're going deep.
We're going deep.
Really?
So if you're a bit of a nerd, you're going to love this.
Grab
Otherwise,
your pen,
just sit back and get ready for the ride of your life. Not really.
Wow.
A little bit. I'm building it up way too much,
Yeah,
aren't I?
it's just a simple philosophy, Sheridan.
All right. Well, Matt Dean is going to take control of tonight's one. So I'm just pretty much the tech help here, really.
Thank you.
I'm going to, do you want the share screen now?
Please.
Yeah, please. All right. Let's go share, and then we're going to go. Can you see just yep, cool. You can't see all the extras. Excellent. Cool.
All right.
All right, Matt Dean, you're ready. Ready to go.
All right, cool. Thank you for stopping talking, Sheridan.
You're welcome. The people thing. I think you're the only one that wants that to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly
I'm
it.
going to be in the kitchen where apparently I should be.
All right, stop now. All right, so tonight we are going to talk about how do you build muscle when you're on a we say fat loss challenge because the weight's irrelevant. It's literally what everyone's dream situation would be, that they strip back all the fat that's on their body and the muscles are exposed underneath. So we want to make sure that when we strip the fat underneath the body, that it is the best possible looking muscle coming through. So hence the building of the muscle. And I believe that the first way to do this one here is that you need to understand the energy systems in the body that we use to convert our energy to do certain activities. So once you get your head around that, you'll actually be able to implement and understand why when you're doing certain things like a boot camp or going for a run or doing those things, and actually how they benefit you or maybe even they hinder you in your progress for your goals. So understanding the energy system, there's 3 energy systems that we use in the body, and I'm going to go through each one of those now to start with, just to give you a bit of an understanding before we break it apart and actually look at it from a different point of view. The first system, which is probably the most amazing system of all of them, it's called the ATP system. Now, I'm going to get a little techie, so bear with me, and I'll do my best to keep it as simple as we can to understand it. So ATP just stands for adenosine triphosphate, which means that there's 3 molecules of creatine phosphate that make up this. So can you guys all see my hands pretty clearly in there, my fingers? So what it is imagine those adenosine triphosphate being 3 things merged together like this. When you use this energy, it snaps apart. One of them breaks off. So one of the creatine phosphate snaps apart. That is initial energy. It's pure burst of high octane, go baby, go energy. It is naturally there for us to go crazy fast because it just keeps snapping apart. Every time it snaps, it's like an explosion. You're able to go as quickly as you possibly can. The challenge with this, it can't replenish itself quick enough to go forever. It can only last for about 10 seconds. I've written on this 10 to 15 seconds because some people can push those limits just a tiny bit more. So think like a sprinter. They're like a 100-meter sprint, especially those top end guys. They're doing sub 10 seconds. They are pure ATP. They're snapping those molecules off. They just go bang, bang, bang. And every time it breaks, that's energy bursts. And that's what it is, okay? So the ATP system's pure power. It is speed, power, the works. It doesn't need anything from your body. It doesn't need food. It doesn't need oxygen. It doesn't need water. It is just in you to go. Then it needs, after you've used all those stores, it shifts into a different one, which we're going to go into in a second. But it needs 2 minutes to recover fully, to let those stores fill up again. So quite often you see a sprinter sprint down the track. 2 minutes later, they could do it again. And they're not gassed out because they only use that energy system, which doesn't require anything else. So it's pure power. Things like shot putters, it's that explosive power, that one-off jolt. That jolt is the ATP system, okay? Things like that, box jumps, the initial jump is ATP system. It's those micro jumps, things that snap apart. Then you go into something slightly less impacty, and then it recovers again, and then you go again, and you go again, and eventually it shifts into the next system, which I'll go into a second. So just to wrap that up, really simple, 3 molecules of creatine phosphate, they stick together, and when you use them, they snap apart. That snapping apart is what creates the energy. Then that molecule, that creatine phosphate molecule, floats back around and joins back in again, and it snaps apart. It just keeps circulating, and it just keeps doing this all the time, okay? Nice and simple, adenosine triphosphate, 3 molecules snapping apart gives you natural energy, pure power. Next one is the Anaerobic Assistant. Now this one here is the duration of this one lasts from 10 seconds to about 2 minutes or 120 seconds. And it's that lactic-y burn feeling. You know when you're pushing that sled in the gym and all that sort of stuff there and it constantly is burning, that lactic acid that's pulling up there is because you're in that zone of energy, the energy system, which is burning because it's in that 1 to 2 minutes, so 10 second to 2 minute section. It's the same as the system before, except instead of it having the snapping effect, it actually pulls from the glucose in your body, which is otherwise known as carbohydrates, which is why carbohydrates are so important, because this is the energy system that requires it. So when you eat fruits, vegetables, breads, rice, doesn't matter which one it is, when you have carbohydrates, it gets broken down into your body into glucose, which is why there's no good or bad carbohydrates. There's only the certain amount that we eat that makes them bad, regardless of if they're lollies or if they're vegetables. The difference between the two is that veggies come with benefits. Lollies do not, but in their purest form, they break down and they turn into glucose. And inside your muscles, you'll have what is called glycogen, which is stored in the muscles. So when you're in this lactic acid system here, the anaerobic system, sorry, it pulls on the glucose and the glycogen in the muscles. And what that does is it allows you to go for a longer period of time, not as fast as the ATP system, but still pretty hard out. And it doesn't need any oxygen in the system. You can literally just keep burning and it just literally pulls all this energy out of the muscles and out of your bloodstream. So nice, super simple, lasts from anywhere from 10 seconds to 2 minutes, and lactic acid obviously is that byproduct. That's the main one. The second one, a lot of your boot camp stuff and your PT stuff live in this system here. And you'll understand why that's a good thing in a minute. When we go to the next one. The aerobic system is the next system. This one here still uses glucose and blood and the glycogen from the muscles and the blood, but it also pulls in oxygen. So the moment that it pulls in oxygen, it starts to promote the use of all your food and stuff that you've been eating, and it draws on that energy to be able to use that energy to go for longer. Because this one here is anything over 2 minutes, you naturally shift into the aerobic system. So think like walking. Right now we're sitting in the aerobic system. When you go running, you can't run at that high octane speed for very much longer. You might draw out 2 minutes and then it will always shift over to the aerobic system. So the aerobic system is designed to keep going and going and going. It doesn't really have a cap on how long it can go for, only on how long you want it to go for. It will keep going. You've seen guys do ultra marathons. You've seen people do some crazy stuff. Well, they live in the aerobic system. Again, it uses the glucose and the blood and the glycogen in the muscles. It uses oxygen to promote that blood flow. It doesn't create lactic acid. So the moment you feel lactic acid burning when you're running, you've shifted into a different system. So if you're going up a hill, imagine that. So I'm running up a hill. And the moment I go up that hill, I have to go into a different system because I need to put more power into it to get up the hill. So the lactic acid is promoted, which then creates a burning sensation, which means I'm in an anaerobic state. Okay, so I'm in that next system. So it's like I've kind of dropped down a gear in a car and I'm about to put the foot to the floor and then power on. Sorry, that dog's over there farting. See later at Sheridan. I'm trying to figure out which one. So that's the main one. So those are three systems. ATP, you have the anaerobic, and you have the aerobic. Now, when you are training in an aerobic state, it's a totally different purpose compared to an anaerobic or an ATP state. And I'm going to go into this in a second, because if you look at this picture here, you've got the two different types of things. So on the left of both those pictures is a marathon runner. Now, I've gone to full extremes, okay? So I've gone top of the line marathon runner, and that's all they do for a living. So if you look at their body, it's very drawn, it's very gaunt. It's not fat or anything like that. It's just very, very skinny, okay? That's someone who lives in the aerobic system. That's what you get if you're just constantly running all the time. Marathon runners, 42.2 kilometers plus is what these guys do of pure running, and they just live in that zone of just plod and go. They build up their speed, yes, but they're constantly in that aerobic zone, burning all that food off, burning all that energy off. But if you look at their body, it's not super healthy, it's super skinny, like very, very skinny. If you look at the sprinters' bodies on the right, you'll see the female there, she's got nice glutes. I put the backside in there for some reason, but she's got nice legs, the butt, the back, very fit looking, very strong looking. Looks like she could pick up something without any challenges. The marathon runner, it looks like if she did pick something up, it would be a very much a challenge for her. The sprinter on the right for the guys, very jacked up, very beefed up and buffed up. So the difference between the two of those things there is that the sprinters train in the ATP system and the anaerobic system. They don't go into the aerobic system. They stay out of that all the time. So the aerobic runners and the cyclists and stuff like that, it's a different energy system for a different outcome. So this one here, this challenge, for those people that are looking to build the muscle during the fat challenge, you need to get really comfortable with your ATP system, which is pure power, pure excitement, pure speed, force, all those things there, and the ability to endure the burn for up to 2 minutes. That is how you put the muscle on. It's how the sprinters train. The reason their bodies are like that is not because they bang weights all day and inject themselves with hormones. It's because of how they train. They train with power, purpose, short, sharp, not long and forever. Okay, so we're looking at those are the two spectrums of exaggerated forms. I'm not expecting you guys to turn into the sprinters or to turn into the marathon runners. I'm just showing you that the way they train is their bodies are a product of the way they train in the energy systems. Okay, so what we're going to look at too, sorry, I'm going to go back to this one for a shift to that one. We're going to look at today some variations that you guys can do also in your boot camps using those ATP and the anaerobic systems, because we're about building muscle while burning fat. If you look at the sprinter in both of those pictures, they are not carrying fat. And the way that they train is a product of that. It's short, sharp, hard and fast. They do not go for long runs. They don't go out and clock 10 kilometers up and 15, 20 kilometers. It's not in their interest to do it. They don't want to do it. They just want to train efficiently. They have a nice balanced diet and they train hard, fast, short, sharp, and powerful. Okay. Now, we need to have strong muscles to perform at that level. To really dive into the anaerobic and the ATP system, we have to have strong muscles. So we're going to go into a few benefits of why you need to prioritize having strong muscles over big bulky muscles. Okay, and there's a reason for that coming up. First of all, when you have strong muscles, you get that pump on, you get that good feeling of feeling juiced up, going really good. But the strong muscles, ideally, when you work them out, is they bond to your bone and they strengthen your bone density. So already from just having strong muscles, lifting nice heavy weights into your body, working in the anaerobic and the ATP system, it improves your bone density. If I was sitting there and I'm boxing and I'm punching a bag, the moment I hit that impact on the bag, all that force runs back up my forearm into my humerus. And in that process, all that impact strengthens my bones in my arms. Again, I'm using the ATP system, bang, I whack a bag or whack something or someone. That impact is ATP, pure power, boom. Okay, when I start boxing for a couple of minutes and it's all burning and screaming, I'm anaerobic, baby. I've just shifted over. That means I've shifted energy. It means I'm not going to be able to punch as hard and as fast. I have to back off and approach it differently. But every time I punch, that's strengthening my bones. So the bone density increases. The number one, well, not one number one, but one of the major reasons that people, elderly people, when they fall over and they break their hip, it's not because they broke their hip on the impact, it's because they actually, their bone snapped on, then they fell over because they were so weak and brittle because they weren't doing things like simply like strength training. Just why it's so important to have strong muscles, because it improves the strength in your bones. It increases your metabolism. So the fat loss side of things from lifting weights is improved and it increases, providing you're not counterproductive with the eating. If you're like smashing the weights going, but I bang weights all the time, this is awesome, I should be jacked by now and lean as. But if you're smashing bags of chips after you do the workout, then you've got this thing that's just next level counterproductive. You do all this hard work and you ruin it with the other stuff. That's why the sprinters have this balanced diet. They've worked out exactly their calories. They know what they need for training. They know what they need when they're not training, and they don't vary it from it. They don't go on a 5-month bender and go, I'm just going to put some weight on in the off season and I'll work it all off in the preseason. They just stay like that all the time. They just made it a way of life. They just look phenomenal. It improves your posture by having strong muscles because they bond to the bones. If you work them properly and balanced, they actually pull you into position properly. So it limits the chance of injuries. It improves your strength, obviously, and it increases speed and stamina. So the key to having strong muscles or building muscle when you're doing a fat loss challenge is to improve your speed and improve your stamina using the ATP system and the anaerobic system. I hope you're getting the message. This is the key to the grand secret to getting these muscles working. Number 3, you need to implement plyometrics into your boot camps. This is how you do it. So there's most stuff is pretty straightforward, but the plyometrics in a boot camp is going to be what differentiates your transition of building pure muscle versus pacing.
What's plyometrics?
I'm about to go to that, Sheridan. So what you need to do is, I think it's the next question. There you go. Basically what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some examples of these in a second too. But plyometrics is based around power, okay? It's explosive movement patterns. I'm just going to jot through this list here because it makes more sense this way. So I don't go on a wayward pattern. But you've got explosive movement patterns, which means that it's that whole ATP, bang, 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 okay? It's pulling on pure power. It's exhausting, which means those muscles have to contract hard, explode up, which means they get stronger. They work better, they jump high, you run faster. It involves jumping, hopping, stalling. It involves bursts of energy, so 3 or 4 steps really quickly. Throwing, so that's a really explosive power. Push-ups, when you stop, so you break a pattern. So instead of just jogging on the spot for a minute, like you'll quite often hear us in a boot camp at the moment, especially online. Well, okay, cool guys, we're going to high knees for 60 seconds. Okay, so high knees for 60 seconds. If I'm not flogging it, I'm not going to break into the anaerobic, or I'm not going to break into ATP. I'm probably going to really sit in aerobic, because I've seen the way people do high knees, and it's with not a lot of enthusiasm. It's a very half-assed approach to it, which means that they're in the aerobic system, which isn't the system we want to be in if we're wanting to build muscle. So what you do then is you break apart the pattern. So instead of doing high knees constantly, like jumping up and down, what you do is you do a broken pattern. So remember the explosive move pattern. So a 3-step pause, 1, 2, 3, stop. 1, 2, 3, stop. They're all high knees, but they're high knees with purpose. Okay, 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. Start, stops. It's jumping, it's banging on, it's going fast, and it's stopping, and it's going again. That is the power, that is the speed pattern. That's what we're looking to improve. And I'll show you some of these in a minute. Plyometric exercises build muscles. It builds force in the muscle, so the ability to explode through things, build strength, it builds speed. It starts with an eccentric, which is the lengthening, which would mean if you were doing what would be a great example of that? A chin-up, it is the downward motion of a chin-up, which means that if I'm coming down that slowly and I'm holding it and my muscle is lengthening, that is eccentrically dropping. And if I pull myself up again really quickly, boom, that is a concentric muscle movement, which is the contraction of which is the power part of it. So plyometric is slow, fast, or it's quick, stop, quick, stop. All those little movement patterns will improve your speed, your strength, your ability to do stuff faster, better, stronger, and of course, build the muscle while still producing, losing fat off your body. Why do plyometric exercises? That's simple. Because it is the quickest, most easiest, most efficient way to build muscle fast, okay? A sprinter does not just go to the track and run sprints all day. They spend a large portion of their time using pattern movements and working on a pattern like this. So you might say, cool, I'm going to call them tacks for the sake of this. I've got to have tacks on the floor 150 times in my session, which would mean that I have to do movement patterns over, say, a 3-step pause would be 1, 2, 3. That's 3 tacks, okay? But I've got to do 150 of those patterns in a session. So what the plyometric exercises will do for you is they allow you to create a pattern of movement, start, stop, build the expression, stay in the anaerobic system, allow it to recover quickly, and then go again, go again, go again. So instead of going long and steady, you're going to go short, hard, and fast and break up the whole pattern of the movement. The plyometric exercise will give you the benefits of all those things that we're looking to do in a weight loss challenge. It's going to allow you to get faster, stronger, bigger. It's going to allow you to trim down your stomach because it improves the metabolism more. Because your metabolism works better the higher you get your heart rate. Plyometric exercises are short, sharp, explosive, which means your heart rate has to go quick to keep up with it all. Okay? Plyometric exercises in your workouts are going to be the key to making it happen. If I was saying, if Sheridan said to you guys in the boot camp, you need to do 60 seconds of push-ups, a great way to do plyometric exercises, slow down, fast up, slow down, fast up. So instead of trying to pump out a steady paced push-up, set of push-ups, if you just went down like for 3 or 4 seconds, power up, down, power up, you all of a sudden are playing in that power game, which is going to increase your strength, which increases your muscle, which it still promotes all the weight loss or the fat loss at the same time. and you're able to have a purpose for the push-ups. Instead of just going for 60 seconds, you can go, cool, I'm going to go 3 seconds down, 1 second up, and I'm going to do that for 60 seconds. So you're in control of the movement with a purpose for the movement. If it's something like, what would be a good one? Squat jumps would be another great one. Squat jumps for 60 seconds is all very well, but again, you're just sort of bouncing around, and if it's not with purpose, then plyometrics needs to be done with purpose. It's not worth it. So you do the same thing, just slow drop down, jump as high as you can, slow drop down, jump as high as you can. So instead of trying to keep up with the Energizer Bunny that is Sheridan, you would just do your own promoted version of it in your environment to allow you to be able to explode and get stronger and get faster and allow those muscles to be optimized to the best of their ability. Whew. All right, number 4, you need to lift heavy things. Minimum once a week, I would say maximum twice a week. The reason you wouldn't go overboard with it and go more than twice a week is that the muscles need to recover, okay? And the only reason I would say to do it twice a week is because if you liked it, if you just have that emotional connection to love the pump and the feeling of lifting the weights, when you lift weights, they lift weights with power. So it's ATP, and maybe it's aerobic if the reps are high, but generally it's ATP. It's just pure explosive. Bench press, 1, down, 2, 3, and the push up is hard and fast. So it's pure energy, pure octane, okay? I only lift weights once a week. That's all I dedicate myself. And every now and then I do it. When I do the Muscle Monday, I don't play around with heavy weights in Muscle Monday. It's pretty light in comparison to what I would do in a PT session. So I leave my heavy weights for a Thursday session, which I do with T-Pop. I've just done one today. It's purely focused on getting stronger. It's about lifting heavy things for someone watching me to allow me to do that the best that possibly I can. Okay. Everything else outside of that, I train differently. I don't go picking up weights every day. I don't do that. I want to preserve my joints. I want to make sure that they're with me when I'm 50 something years old or 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, I do have something to say. What gave it away? But he's telling you this, and he probably won't tell you the results of this, is that Matt is incredibly strong, and although you guys don't ever get to see what's under here or what he does, he can deadlift 180 to 200 kilos, but he does that off one weight session a week. So he's not getting those results from doing multiple sessions each week. It's from one heavy weight session each week. Can easily bench press over 100 kilos, blah, blah, blah. So I just needed you to understand that it's all well and good, but the results show for it as well.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Thank you.
Beautiful words. And the little pocket rocket's the same. We have busy lives. We don't want to spend it all the time lifting weights and feeling heavy, because when you do lift heavy weights, you are fatigued. The DOMS kicks in the day or two later, as most of you are aware. But again, you don't need to hit them up every day. If you do hit them up every day, it's almost detrimental to what you're trying to do, because you're literally fatiguing your body out and never giving it a chance to really show you what it can do. And the only reason as Sheridan mentioned, the best deadlift I've ever done is a 200 kilogram deadlift. And I just did that because I was just interested to see if I could do it one day. That was what it was. I just thought I'd give it a crack. And then I built up to that strength for that. And I wasn't trying to do hundreds and hundreds of reps. I was just doing 1 to 5 reps. That was basically it, nice and heavy. And then the next week I'd try and do 1 to 5 reps of a heavier weight, and so on and so on. And I just built that up over time. But the reality is that when you lift heavy things, give your body adequate rest, and then anaerobically move every other day, you will have an increase in strength, an increase in size, an increase in metabolism. You will be leaner, you'll be stronger, you'll be bigger. You will not lose your muscle, because the responsiveness of powerful movements is what gets you to the point of strong muscles. Much like a sprinter, they sprint for a reason. They sprint every day, but they sprint to the point that they give everything. Excuse me. They do not do half-assed. It is 100% and then recover, 100% then recover. So if you find that you're going through a session, I'll say online sessions, because they're typically how we do more timed-based stuff. When you're in face-to-face, it's done differently. It's more reps and structure, because we can see you guys and we have more equipment for you. But if you're online and you're doing those sort of sessions and they are timed and you're just half-assing it, you're better off changing your approach to it, applying a plyometric-based approach to it, short, sharp, broken up patterns, slow the tempo, speed up the tempo, increase the, a push-up can turn into a clap push-up, all of a sudden it's explosive, work towards building that muscle up, and so your chest is nice and strong. To be able to perform a clap push-up, you need to be very strong because you've got to get yourself off the ground. So not only is it push-up, but you're actually leaving the ground with that much force. So just being able to do that and get your hands around, clap, and then get them back in time, that process alone is very, very tricky, okay? But it's a very rewarding thing when you do it. Now, I'm not saying go home and practice right now because, God, you'll be visiting dentists tomorrow. It's a process that you do to build up. It's a matter of you taking the time to get to that point. But the reality is that when you do that, if you look at the people who can do that and do it quite comfortably, they do it quite comfortably because they are powerful, they are strong, and they have that ability because they have worked on having great power, great strength, and great speed in which they do something. So I'm going to recap this really quickly. You have 3 energy systems. The ATP system, pure power. Imagine high octane. Imagine your V8 supercars. They ain't running on 91. They're banging whatever they can get in there to juice those bad boys up as fast as possible, and their foot to the floor. However, that fuel burns quicker. It doesn't stay in for longer. You don't get more Ks for spending more money on your fuel. It's not how that works. It goes fast because it's designed to go quick. Once that fuel source runs out, of course, you shift to the next system. This would be the equivalent of like 98 fuel, okay? It's slightly better. It's going to perform better in most cars. You shift into this one here. It still burns a lot more than it does from the 91, but it's just, or diesel, I'll go diesel, is a better option for that one. And then you go down that road, and then it shifts into the aerobic system, which would be like the diesel. It just plods, and you get a lot of Ks out of it, but it goes a lot slower. It's not as juiced up as the other 2 fuel sources, okay? ATP system, anaerobic system. We love those 2 systems because it's powerful, it's speed-based, it's force-based, it's designed to get you stronger, quicker, with less effort. It will not hinder your fitness. It will improve your fitness. It will make you faster. It will make you stronger. You will not lose muscle. In fact, you'll promote your muscle growth, which is even better. Then the next one is we need to make sure that we lift heavy. Oh, sorry, that's not that one. What was the one before it? Just remember it real quickly. Plyometric-based exercises. Make sure we do those sorts of things by breaking up boot camps and stuff like that. The trainer is not going to care if they've asked you to do 100 high knees and you break them up doing sets of 3. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2, 3, pause. You just have to learn to count in 3s. 3, 6, 9, and go up that way. But again, they don't care if you're doing something fast and purposeful because we know that your goal is to build the muscle underneath it. And then the last one there we have, which is really, really simple, is lift heavy things once a week, and a minimum once a week, maximum twice a week. I wouldn't go much more than that. Otherwise, it's just detrimental. You'll see people that live in the gym, they look phenomenal. They really do, and they lift weights, and they're great with their food, and they have this brilliant balanced life. They don't have a partner, or if they do have a partner, they don't see their partner. They go to work, they go to the gym, they go home and sleep, and they eat. That's it. It's a pretty boring life cycle to do that, especially if you're not a pro athlete, and that's not what you're living. So you want to have balance in it, and you want to be efficient. If you look at sprinters, they don't spend all day in the gym. They're all about short, sharp, get in, get out. They're not down there for 4 hours a day. They're down there for their sprints. They're down there for the plyometrics, and then they get out of there. They do a weight session. They probably do twice a week. They'll do a leg-based session, an upper body-based session, and that'll be them done. Because again, they need to spend their time getting faster. Muscles need to recover, which is really cool. And I'll finish on one last thing here with the promoting of the muscle gain is your food, which is a big one. From a fat loss point of view, that's where the calories come in. Okay, when you are losing weight or mass from your body, your muscles are not shrinking. Okay, that is not what happens when you lose weight. What does happen is you lose fat. The fat is dissipating. So you can't lose size. The only size you'll lose on top, as if it's coming down, is fat. So if your fat comes down and it happens to come off, say, your back for some reason, because you store fat in your back or whatever, and you go, oh my God, my back's getting smaller, I need to work on my back more, and that's your focus. It's not working on your back more, it's just the fact that you had a lot of fat in your back and you just didn't know, you just thought you were jacked up buff because it was big. But the reality is that the fat comes off and the muscle is underneath. It doesn't go away. If you're lifting heavy things once a week minimum, your strength is up, your muscles are up. Doing it twice a week, fantastic if you love that sort of thing, but you only have to do it once. Incorporating speed work, plyometric-based things, and you combine that with a really good balanced amount of food, then you will be on the point, on the money. The protein aspect, which is the big one I always hear, should I be taking a protein powder? Should I not be taking a protein powder? You can take whatever you want. It's your life. It's up to you what you do. All we say to do is pay attention to what you're taking. So we would rather you get stuff that's not so touched by man and more taken from more organic based fuel sources. And you go, oh yeah, but they've got this vegan protein powder. They crush down veggies or whatever it is. Again, man is tampering with a product to make it powder based. There's probably something going on there to make that process happen, okay? So you don't need to. You can, of course. We just say, look at the back of the ingredients. Do you understand all the ingredients in it? If you don't, then just maybe take a look or get someone to tell you what it is. Because if you don't know what's going into your body, that's not a good thing. But you know what's going into your body when you're having carrots or meat or whatever it is that your fuel sources. So protein, from a protein aspect, keep it as natural as you possibly can. That would be my tip for you. If you love taking protein powders because you love it, then take it because you love it, and only for that reason. Just know that your body can only ever take a certain amount of protein at one time. Everything else past what the body can take, and it's different slightly for everyone. Girls are slightly different than men, and so on and so on. However, if you take more than what your body can take, you don't get bigger and buffer. You just poo more. It just comes straight out the back and into the drain. That's it. Okay, excess protein goes out the back door. That's all you really need to remember. So you can't get massive from smashing protein. All you can do is repair your muscles from having the right amount of protein. So instead of wasting your calories banging out protein so much to try and get big and buff, and your money, spend your money on nice quality product food, and then get your diet right and get your exercise right and find that balance of training that's going to work best for you to do it. Most boot camps live in the anaerobic system and they live in the aerobic system. Most boot camps are based around there. However, when it's an aerobic based thing, say Sheridan says, cool, run around the block, guys, you're going to run around the block or run to the power pole or something like that. If you turn that run into a sprint, walk, sprint, walk, sprint, walk, well, now you're doing some explosive anaerobic running. So you're still going around the same way, but instead of plodding around the 600-meter lap at the gym and you're coming back in, use the power poles as gauges. Go, cool, I'm going to sprint this one at 100%, and then I'm going to walk to the next one or jog to the next one. Just slow the tempo down. I'm going to sprint, walk, sprint, walk, sprint, walk. All of a sudden, you get more for the run versus just plodding around for 600 meters aimlessly going, I've got to do a 600-meter run. So spend your time with purpose. Focus on how you're going to implement these things into your current training of doing classes. If you like to go for a run on the treadmill, I would say change the run from, if you're doing a 5K run, do interval training on that run. Run for, might be 30-second efforts. So you run VGO. Oh, great. Actually, on Saturdays, we run a VGO session, which is having one of the trainers, typically at Sheridan. You have your headphones on, you can be anywhere in the world, essentially, tune in at the right time. Sheridan's telling you to sprint, jog, go fast. It doesn't matter if you're on a bike, you're running or whatever it is, but she's actually telling you what to do. It's a great way to get a good anaerobic system in because you go from ATP to anaerobic to aerobic and you bounce between the three systems, getting all of those. Whereas if you just go do a walk with your friends, you're only sitting in the aerobic system. So again, finding ways to incorporate it as best you possibly can. Lift heavy things, get your food and nutrition right. You can't have too much protein because you just pull it out the back. Your body can only ever have so much and it can't take extras. And learn to train in the anaerobic and the ATP system as much as possibly can. If you're after tips and tricks and ideas to do them inside a boot camp, please reach out to me or Sheridan or one of the trainers. We will give you a list of different variations. We'll do a video for you to show you some different things, and that will allow your body and your training to get a lot better. All right, let me just get rid of that one there for a second. Can I borrow you for a second, Sheridan? I'm a bit ticky. Oh no, I'm pushing the wrong button.
Technically challenged.
Yeah,
what do you want to do?
Just back to everyone, please.
Stop screen share.
Oh, here we go.
One button.
All right, we're back, baby. We're back. So, like I said, guys, that is how muscle is formed. That is how muscle is formed to the most optimal way possible. Is short, sharp, explosive. Okay. Plyometric based things are going to be your friend. If you don't know what plyometrics are, like I said before, they're explosive actions, they're patterns of movement which are stopped. They don't keep going for a minute. They go for a period of time, it's short and sharp, and then it goes back out of that system. Do you have anything to add, Sheridan?
No, you did a great job.
Thank you. Whatever you're cooking is like in my throat, though.
It's because you haven't drank water.
No, it's spices or something.
I'm cooking the easy butter chicken from the nutrition plan, just in case you're wondering, and it's very easy, and it smells amazing.
And it's buttery.
But I don't eat chicken, so it's all for him. I think that really explains it all. Do you guys have any questions? If you do, please wave at us or put it in the chat box.
Need to go to the chat box.
Chat box. Yeah, only 3 of you have your video on, so you definitely need to put it in the chat box if you have any questions. Hopefully that explains it to you, that more is sometimes not better. And sometimes less is best, and especially when it comes to your body, you need to be able to recover. Did you use the toilet analogy?
No.
You should.
All right, cool. Let me just get ready for it. I'm not going to the toilet, but the toilet analogy works like this. Trying to think of the name, but what do we call it?
Don't think it's got a name.
It does.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway.
Move past that.
So imagine I'm lifting weights. I'm going to use the term 100 kg. So I use 100 kg bench press. I go into the gym. I do a max set of lifting the weights, and then say I get to 10, and I've got nothing left, and I'm absolutely cooked. What happens here is 1 week later, I'm in a rest for it. The reason I rest for 1 week later is because the analogy comes in now. If you've ever been to the toilet and you've taken a massive poo in the toilet, and you go to flush the poo and it doesn't all flush down, and you look and you get a bit panicky, then you go back and you quickly try to flush it again, and the system hasn't filled back up again, what happens is absolutely nothing. The poo stays there, and it hasn't gone where it needs to go, because the system is your recovery part, right? You need to wait for that water to fill back up, or your energy to fill back up, and your muscles to recover, so that you can push that button again and push out that poo into the right channel, of course. But in a weight form, the poo is your lovely weight session, and the recovery session is the system filling. So 7 days it takes, 7 to 10 days, depending on the person, it takes for your muscles to fully recover. So if you think about this, in its form, you usually feel DOMS on day 2 or 3. Am I right? Everyone sort of agree? It's around that 2-3 day period, pretty typical for most people. What most people do when they're DOMS after lifting weights, I'm referring to lifting weights, not boot camps, totally different. You can boot camp every day, it's not going to affect you. The DOMS that you get from lifting weights, however, it needs time to recover. Now, most people go to the gym every 2 to 3 days. So they go when they're at the peak of the DOMS. So they go when their body's at its weakest. Oh, let's go to the gym again. I'm already weak. And they do this whole thing, which they're constantly working out in a fatigue state, going, oh man, I got the toes, I'm just not getting anywhere. It's like, well, because you're doing too much. Back off the weights, give it ample time, and then make sure when you do the weights, because you're only going in once or twice a week, give it a really good red hot crack, because you know you're not going to do it for 7 days. It's the reason my strength went up crazy, is because I had plenty of rest between my workouts, and I was able to get to the next week and be energized to do big lifts again. Whereas if I had gone, okay, cool, I'm going to do heavy legs on a Monday, heavy on a Friday, go back on a Monday, and if I had gone in with that approach, what would have happened is I would have been longer, and I probably may not have ever actually got there, because I would have just been fatigued too much. My body's stressed out. I'm going to put too much stress on my joints. I'm going to probably throw my back out or do something silly because I'm injured and I'm in a fatigue state. However, by waiting adequately, I got through that weight. I could pick up the 200 kilograms, which was an awesome feeling, crazy feeling. I don't aspire to want to go back up there anytime soon, but it was a goal I had, and I followed through on getting my goal. Okay. So ample rest is the key. Now, Jazz has written in here, what about lift sessions? Should we only be doing one of those sessions a week? No, because the reference for lifting heavy is heavy. So I'm talking like in a lift session, you don't go putting on your max weights for the session. What you do in that one is you taper it back to a point that it's possible to lift. Kind of like a Monday, muscle Monday. They're designed to lift weights to stimulate the muscle. But most people aren't on those when it's getting time to do the bench presses. They're not loading up on their rep maxes. That's what we call heavy lifts, okay? 5 to 10 reps is maximum, and you've got nothing left in it. That's what we would call a heavy lift. So lift sessions are fine. They're just tapered back sessions. They're more of an anaerobic training based session because they burn, they're challenging, they work at that higher level. So lift sessions are fantastic because they do function with ATP. It's all explosive exercises, more complex exercises. It's weight-based, it's jumping, it's running, it's all those things, just done at a higher level than a boot camp. Cool. So that help, Jazz? Can't see you on there. Phew, thanks. I love it. Thank you for asking the question. If there's not any more questions, guys, I will wrap this up. But like I said, if you want some alternatives to do stuff based around a boot camp, then please just flick us a message. We'll happily create some things. A lot of the things are already pretty good. Like a burpee is a great plyometric exercise because it's explosive. Bang, bang, you're up, you're down. And they're not fast. You're not like, unless you're Sheridan, she's the only one I see do this. She kind of just bounces up and down like it's a trampoline. The rest of us, as far as I've seen, is we go a kapur, and then we jump up. And then we go a kapur, and like this. We're not fast, we're actually quite slow. So as long as you make that explode up as quick as you can, that is a plyometric exercise. So that is ripping into the one part of the exercise which is important, which is the jumping up. Getting down to the ground, not important. That's the eccentric movement. Concentric, which is all the power, that's the on the way up. Make that the purposeful part, and then cruise on back down. Up really fast, cruise on down. There's more benefits in that than trying to bang them out really, really quickly. So I'd rather you do purposeful over speed and duration. Is that about it, Sharon?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Whew. All right, guys. So thank you guys so much. It is very warm in here. And like I said, if you've got any questions, please send them through to us. Otherwise, we'll see you guys online. Hopefully that's very helpful for you all. And yeah, good.
Thank you guys so much.
See you later.